Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Dev, where today we're continuing to work on our traditional Snake game with a little twist. Now last time we added a whole bunch of upgrade and assist buildings to our game. They included ways to upgrade health, damage, and even turrets to help fight against the constant swarm of enemies looking to destroy our slithery friend. It was the first major step in a complete diversion of the original concept of Snake, one that we continue building on today. We'll be adding a currency system to our game. This currency system will be used to construct all of those upgrade and assist buildings that we added last time, and will mostly be attempting to do this through the DS list, keeping track of our entire Snake's existence. So let's cross our fingers, hope we can pull this one off and get to the coding. Now before we begin, let's talk about what we're trying to accomplish today. Our Snake's body parts earn points over time for simply existing. These points can then be spent on upgrades and assists, depleting body parts in the process. In other words, the longer a piece of the Snake's body lasts, the higher its value. That value can then be traded in for ways to improve the Snake's chances of survival. Make sense? I hope so. First, we needed a global variable to keep track of the max amount of points a body part can earn. Then a health bar was drawn to keep track of how many points out of the max amount of points a body part currently has. For now, our body parts earn 1 point per update tick. And finally, the points variable was clamped to keep the game from, well, breaking. This worked flawlessly, with each part now displaying their points in a little easy to read meter. So with our points now being earned, it was time to create a way to spend them. A new script would be needed to pull this off. Using a loop, we'd go through the entire Snake's body via the DS list until an entry meets our cost requirement. For now, that would be the max points able to be earned. If met, the script returns that ID, and if not, it returns nothing. So using this along with a simple conditional allowed the targeting of body parts with points that met the proper costs. In the cursor object, the script would be used to determine whether or not something would be placed, and if possible, we'd create the upgrade building and delete the body part. And as seen here, this ended up working just as we needed it to. Once body parts started earning enough points, it allows us to place buildings down, deleting the appropriate body part in the process. And as a side note, it was here that I had a moment of awe breaking down what was happening. Because in a single frame, the game code is not only scouring an entire list of objects, it's comparing for a certain number and outputting the results. Those results are then being forwarded to a conditional that, if met, is creating another object somewhere else while simultaneously deleting another from both the game world and the very list it was pulled from. I mean, it's not the most amazing of computations, sure, but you know, it's fun to appreciate just how great coding is sometimes. Anyway, moving on, with the currency system now in place, we needed a new upgrade. When placed, this building would upgrade the maximum amount of points a body part could potentially earn. We'd need this building because next up was defining the cost for all of our buildings. While probably not the most efficient way, a 2D array seemed like the simplest way to keep track of building costs. The first entry would refer to the building itself, and the second entry would refer to the building type. Going back to the cost script, we would need a new argument. If the argument has no set price, the script would compare it to the max points that can be earned. However, if a specific cost is defined, the script would then use that argument for comparison. Then back in the cursor code, using the 2D array, the proper cost would be passed on as the argument. And oddly enough, this system would not work while using local variables. But weirdness aside, this thankfully worked, which meant that building costs could now vary, and the script was able to work with that. Which means that for all intents and purposes, our currency system is now working. However, there is the current issue of overpaying for certain buildings. For example, if a building costs 10, but our script targets a body worth 30 points, then that's a waste of 20 points. So it's something we'll have to deal with in the future. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue. Well, not one that will bring the project to a complete halt anyway. But we'll have to wait and see, because that brings us to the end of today's episode of Let's Dev. So leave a like if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts on our progress in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.